I'd find a point that was high enough to allow me to see the entire facility, but low enough to prevent atmospheric interruptions. My equipment of choice would be a Vixen Optics BT 126 SSA telescopic binocular, because it would allow me to identify individuals and read license plates while accounting for changes in lighting and the motion of the objects within my line of sight. And that would be factoring the fact that I have 20/20 vision. This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Operation Anteater, bonus episode 2. When we left off, Javier was explaining to the roundtable how he ended up superseding LJ's plan and prevented the Notorious Five Families' succession planning from going up in smoke. Bosch had done what he does best and got Danny Briggs to identify several locations that he owned under a shell company. The Anteater had run those locations down, and once he'd accessed the surveillance systems at the warehouse and the third safe house, it quickly became apparent that the teams being led by Stephanie and Stax and Bigwood and True were being led into a trap. And while LJ worked to get them out of it, while simultaneously keeping an eye on that second safe house that he was absolutely certain contained Noah Kirk, Bosch and the soldiers, who were holding Danny Briggs, Donald Green, and Johnny Decker, were giving them in the business. It didn't take long for Johnny Decker to cry uncle. He said, "Listen, man, if I tell you everything I know, will you hurry up and just put me out of my misery?" Javier said, "Make it fast, and I'll consider it." Then Johnny Decker told Javier that Noah Kirk was taking a move from a playbook that was created more than 20 years earlier. The feds had been chasing the traffickers around the country and the world for decades. They'd created a special task force to go after them because they'd never been successful at identifying the heads of the organization or even getting close to the places where they ran their operations. They'd run up in a stash spot here or there, but 2 decades earlier, when they had gotten too close for comfort, after IDing one of Donald Green's shell companies, Jerry Rouse, who at the time was a federal agent, gave them the tap. Donald Green created a situation where it looked like his operations were being carried out at one of 2 locations. They lured the feds to those locations, and once the feds were inside, they made those locations go boom. Johnny Decker said, "I guarantee you, Noah is not wherever you think he is. His deceased wife was from Oregon. When she died, he inherited her family property. Promise me that if I give you the address, you'll put me out of my misery." And Javier said, "I promise. Trust me. What do you got to lose?" Shortly thereafter, LJ was providing the address to Noah Kirk's deceased wife's family property to Lorenzo and the Anteater. Simultaneously, though, LJ and Q were putting their heads together. There were only a few reasons why Noah Kirk would have even thought that he could walk them into a trap. Either he had an inside man or woman, or he had a tech person who'd been in the Five Families system. Q said, "Angela is thorough, and you two make a hell of a damn team. Quiet as has kept them a little jealous." LJ said, "What?" Q said, "I digress. My point is that the 2 of you did a stand-up job of completely combing the rank and file and removing anybody who was suspect. When that whole situation went down with Stanley, now I'll never put anything past anybody, especially knowing how the traffickers get down. But considering where we are now, it would be a whole lot easier to put Zoe on checking to see if we got any cracks in the system than it would be to try to identify a mole." LJ said, "I concur. We'll talk about this jealousy thing later." LJ got Lorenzo on the line, and within 15 minutes, he'd verified that their phones were all safe, but something in their flight system wasn't quite right. The system had been accessed twice that day. One of those entries was obviously Stephanie, when she was trying to locate the closest plane to Denver to get True to Oregon. But her entry was actually the second one, because the first one had been completed hours before, right around the time when Regina was on her way to Oregon. And that entry had identified the Lopez airstrip in Oregon. And LJ and Q immediately knew that Noah Kirk probably didn't have a mole in the Notorious Five Families. He had a hacker that wasn't nearly as good as Lorenzo. Because when Lorenzo hacked, he didn't leave a trail. And Noah's hacker was definitely not as good as the Anteater. Because if he left a trail, it was because he wanted it to be found. LJ said, "There's only one way to confirm what we think we know." Q said, "We gotta get somebody over to the Lopez airstrip." LJ said, I can't send Stephanie and her crew, because that would be a waste of resources. Q said, call Javier. When Javier heard their hypothesis, he turned to Bosch and said, let these niggas breathe. Go check it out. Connect with the Anteater, and he'll make sure you have eyes. And then Bosch jumped on a motorcycle, heading for the Lopez airstrip. As he rode, he talked in his Bluetooth to the Anteater. He said, if I was doing a job like this, I'd be no more than 10 kilometers from the location that I was attempting to observe. I'd find a point that was high enough to allow me to see the entire facility, but low enough to prevent atmospheric interruptions. My equipment of choice would be a Vixen Optics BT 126 SSA telescopic binocular with an Alt-AZ mount, because it would allow me to identify individuals and read license plates while accounting for changes in lighting and the motion of the objects within my line of sight. And that would be factoring the fact that I have 20/20 vision. The Anteater said, well, damn. Bosch said, with that equipment, they wouldn't need a whole lot of bodies on the airstrip. All they need is one. And considering the topography, he wouldn't be able to use a radio. The Anteater said, I'm on it. He tapped into the cell towers within 11 kilometers of the Lopez airstrip and hit pay dirt. In the forest on the east side of the Lopez airstrip, he picked up a cell phone that had been pinging off the same cell tower for hours, starting from about 30 minutes after Regina landed in Oregon. He provided the exact coordinates to Brutal Bosch. Bosch stashed the bike and then took off running through the foliage. Light on his feet, you could have heard a rat piss on cotton. The goon who Noah Kirk had stationed in those woods never saw or heard what hit him. Bosch took him out and left him slumped right where he found him. Right after verifying that he wasn't a bird watcher or anything, Bosch signaled to the Anteater that the job had been done by putting the goon's cell phone in airplane mode for 20 seconds. And when the Anteater received that confirmation, he hit up LJ while Bosch was handling his business. And Stephanie and her team and Big Wood and his were methodically running a piggyback operation to track the soldiers who'd vacated the warehouse and the stash house that they booby-trapped. LJ and Q had moved on to their second problem. If Noah Kirk wasn't in that second stash house, then where the hell was he? And why did he go through such great lengths to make it appear that he was? Q said, the mole hypothesis is still not off the table. But again, I think the technology is more likely to cause. How many trackers did your men put on those vehicles? LJ said, they were only able to tag 3. And all of them are here. Q said, bingo. They didn't leave Mom Joyce's pill case at that first stash house because they found the tracker. They left it there because they didn't plan on her needing that medicine. They didn't plan on her making it out of this alive. Noah Kirk's men either found the trackers or assumed that they were there. They figured that if they were right, we'd run down on that warehouse, that other stash house, and this one in unison. He planned to take all of our teams out. Wherever he is, Regina and Mom Joyce are there too. LJ said, that nigga planned on taking them 2 out and getting in the win. Q said, bingo. Then Lorenzo and his team confirmed that the address Johnny Decker had provided was in fact the address of Noah Kirk's deceased wife's family property. And after hacking into the surveillance system, they confirmed that the property was occupied. Noah Kirk was there, but Regina and Mom Joyce were nowhere to be found. LJ and Q just looked at one another. They'd been involved in quite a few extremely complex operations with lots of moving parts. They were not new to this. They were true to it. But the stakes were entirely too high for them to risk missing anything almost as soon as they decided to pull all their teams in so that they could regroup. Stax was calling LJ and True was calling Q. And almost in unison, they both said almost the same thing. The soldiers that they had followed from their respective locations were heading Q and LJ's way. They had obviously been instructed to meet up at that second stash house. Q and LJ agreed that it was reasonable to assume that the man they had stationed at the Lopez airstrip had seen all of the planes arrive, with the exception of Regina's, because AJ had landed his company plane at a publicly available airstrip. But he definitely seen the last one that had arrived, the one that had Donald Green, Johnny Decker, and Danny Briggs on it. And when the 5 families didn't run in to the warehouse or the third stash house or the second one, guns blazing, Noah Kirk had adapted the plan. LJ told the Anteater, get me eyes all over Noah Kirk's deceased wife's family property. And if you can get me ears in it too, I'd be much obliged. The Anteater said, done. While I'm working on that, Can you have Zoe get you the property plans? If Noah Kirk went to a plan B, then Aunt Regina and her mother can't be far. LJ chuckled, because he'd already figured out who the Anteater was. But he was going to continue playing along like he didn't know. He said, Zoe is on it. What you thinking? The Anteater said, I'm thinking that a lot of the stash houses that these traffickers have include hidden rooms, sheds in the backyards with false floors, underground tunnels with escape routes. And if Noah Kirk is as smart as he seems, he's probably got Regina and her mother stashed somewhere else on the property, so that if y'all do run down, whoever he's got watching over them will be able to either take them out or get them off the property. LJ just looked at Q, because it was clear that in the brains department, the apple did not fall far from the tree. LJ said, got it. And while they waited for the information that they needed, LJ and Q watched as Noah Kirk's soldiers pulled up in their separate caravans, parked and entered the second stash house, while heavily guarded. When the Anteater patched LJ into the surveillance system at the property where Noah Kirk was actually at, LJ was able to spot more than 20 men on the inside and at least that many on the outside of the main house that Noah Kirk was inside of. He could also hear Noah Kirk giving instructions to his right-hand man, who was in the second stash house. Noah Kirk said, I don't understand what went wrong. You said that your man was pretty sure that he saw somebody put something underneath that car. And when y'all checked it, you found something that looked like a tracking device. Then the man that you sent over to that airstrip said that he saw their planes landing. And he saw all of their main shooters getting off planes. If Donnie, Johnny, and Danny were as bad off as he said they were, then there's no way in hell that they didn't spill their damn guts. The Five Families are not known for sitting around waiting to see what's gonna happen next. They run up in spots, take people out, and call in a cleanup crew. Unable to hear what the second in command was saying on the other line, LJ and Q could only guess. But it wasn't hard to figure out when Noah Kirk said, if you got me over here like a sitting duck, you're a dead man. You understand? After a brief pause, Noah Kirk said, I don't care what you suggested earlier. Get me the hell out of here. Get me to the airstrip, and when that plane leaves the ground, kill both of those. You got it? Hearing that, LJ dropped the coordinates to Noah Kirk's deceased wife's family property in both Stephanie and Big Wood's inboxes with the words, go now. And then Q ordered their team out, while LJ ordered Selima's team in. And all of the teams had the same instructions. Don't make a move until you have further instructions. Then LJ told the Anteater, is there any way that you can track Noah Kirk's cell phone? The Anteater said, I'm already on it. And LJ watched as Noah Kirk and several goons made their way to a vehicle that was parked outside. While en route to the property where Noah Kirk had actually been held up, LJ called Javier to give him an update. Javier said, let him leave. Don't give him any reason to suspect that we know where he is or where he's going. I got his airstrip locked down. Then Javier called Bosch and said, what's the word? Bosch said, these fools are communicating via text. Whoever's in charge of this operation texted this dead man like 15 minutes ago, asking for an update. I copied and pasted one of his previous replies, and he responded back, telling him to come in to the second safe house. I found keys to a BMW in his pocket, and I got the Anteater locating the vehicle as we speak. Javier said, don't worry about that. I need you to make your way to Noah Kirk's private airstrip. Ensure that you are not seen. Intercept Noah Kirk before he can make a phone call. And take out whoever you need to ensure that he is secured. I'm gonna have eyes on you, so you're gonna have all the backup you need. And the minute you have a handle on Noah Kirk, you get him on his plane. Bosch said, why the hell would I do that? Javier said, because him and his friends got a date with some African pigs, remember? Bosch said, 10-4. Big Wood and True had absolutely no idea why they was sitting in a vehicle watching Noah Kirk pull off the property. And when True called Stephanie, she had no idea either. Stephanie said, LJ's got to have a plan. I just don't know what it is. When Big Wood called Q, Q said, bro, Javier's here. And he brought Bosch. When Big Wood looked at True, True said, he's a professional. And so are we. It took LJ and his team almost 40 minutes to get from the second stash house to right outside the property line of Noah Kirk's deceased wife's family property. Once they were located outside of the line of vision of anyone remaining on that property, LJ held a virtual meeting. He said, all right, I got the schematics of the property. There's a main house, a guest house, and a shed. From what we know about this organization, They're known for having hidden rooms, trapdoors, underground tunnels, and hidden escape routes off the beaten path. It's unlikely that they're gonna try and move Regina and Mom Joyce. If they have any indication that Noah Kirk's gonna be intercepted, they have orders to take them both out. Our job is to ensure that neither of those things happen. Noah Kirk is about 15 minutes away from his airstrip, and Zulema reported that shortly after we left, soldiers at that property started heading this way too. As soon as their caravan hit this side street, we gonna take them. Stephanie, you and your team get in position to take care of everybody on the outside. True, you with Stephanie and her team. Stacks, you with Big Wood. True said, wait a minute now. LJ said, Wood and Stacks, you take your team inside. I'm sending both teams the schematics as we speak, so that you're not going in blind. True said, hold on a minute. I'm going where Wood goes. LJ said, no, the hell you are not. I have 3 children to raise. I don't plan on raising yours. If God forbid anything happens inside that house, it won't happen to both of you. You're not in charge here. I am. True said, and you're not my boss. LJ said, Stephanie, get your girl. Stephanie said, True. LJ is right. You're with me. I'm bringing Stacks around now. Wood said, it's good, little mama. True said, okay, so right quick, Wood and I have something we need to discuss. Can we have like 2 minutes? LJ said, do what you gotta do. True muted the FaceTime on their end and said, you haven't listened to a word that I had to say over the last few months. You've been in and out of Denver, between Puerto Rico, Dallas, New York, and who knows where else. I don't know what the hell you've been doing. But if we both make it out of this alive, we together, and we getting married. From here on out, you got 3 choices. Either I'm with you with me, or we together. I'm going back to work, and you getting out of the business. And I don't care what you thought you heard. I thought you were dead. And I had to choose between dying slowly inside every minute of every day and getting some temporary satisfaction to distract myself from the insufferable pain that I was enduring without you. And whatever I did with that nigga don't matter, because he ain't you and I'm not his. He knew that before, during, and after. A nigga could say he was in me, but he can't never say he had me. If it was anything, it was a waste of damn time. And clearly I chose wrong, because you wasn't dead. I couldn't have predicted that if I had a damn crystal ball. I never been so glad to find out somebody who I thought was dead was alive before in my life. Hell, I've never thought somebody was dead and found out they was alive before in my life. So can we stop playing games? Let bygones be bygones? And be a damn family? Because you know damn well I'll tear up all the concrete in this country behind you. Big Wood said, I wasn't avoiding you, little mama. I was working. True said, I know you was working, but Big Wood said, don't interrupt me. I was working on me. I was trying to be the man who left you in Denver, not the one who came back to you. You and my son deserve a whole man. True said, so we good? Big Wood said, we good. And when you get back to work, there won't be any whispers about what you did or didn't do when I was gone. I created that situation and I cleaned it up. True said, so you've been working on yourself and cleaning up my reputation? You did that for me? Big Wood said, I'll do anything for you. And then he tongued True down. They almost forgot where they were, why they were there, and that they were expecting Stephanie and Stacks. Because when Stacks pulled on the handle of the passenger side door, Big Wood and True both upped their pistols. Stacks couldn't see through the tent, but he knew the unmistakable sound of a gun cocking. And he'd heard too. He said, whoa, whoa, it's me. Wood and True both chuckled. True opened up the door and said, you better be careful, nigga. We TTG, trained to go. We shoot first and ask questions last. Stacks said, I see. Y'all good? True said, yeah. Stacks said, well, go ahead and unmute so we can finish this call and get in the car with Steph. True was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Before she walked off though, she turned around, looked at Big Wood and said, come hell or high water, I'm always choosing you. Come back alive. Big Wood said, ditto. To me, I don't show the world, and still you